You already know how we do it around this time. Thought we'd do something a little different. Make it flow and make it go. So that we go about doing things in which it takes freedom. That we go about incorporating that freedom in our lives. I know many of us right now is spending time with our loved ones. But I wanted to reach out. And in reaching out, I wanted to say don't go taking things for granted. Don't go so far as to believe that you don't have to go about appreciating the ones around you. Because what we don't appreciate, we oftentimes lose. And what we don't go about cherishing ends up walking away. So don't take life for granted, man. Don't do it. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing in that the people who don't have it go about yearning for it. And the people who do have it, they don't go about appreciating it. So you see the cyclical cycle in which the ones that have don't know the struggle. And the ones that do not have go about yearning for it. So the reason I go about starting off like this is to show that this is a time that we should go about looking at it from a viewpoint in that we go about making time to be thankful for the many blessings that we have, to be appreciative of the things we got going on in our lives. And when we go about seeing and realizing, when we go about realizing that everything comes in its proper time and its proper accord, then one could go about seeing that life has more to offer. And what I mean by more to offer is this. Timing is everything. Timing is key because one must be patient, but stay away from being hesitant. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to say it again. One must be patient, but stay away from being hesitant. Because the minute we don't go about enacting on the opportunity given, that opportunity leaves us and goes to somebody else. So we must come to discover the timing in everything. We must know when to act. We must know when to go about being patient. And the old saying comes into play. For you to go about molding any iron or metal, you have to strike it when it's hot. Because if you don't strike that iron when it's hot, you're just laboring in vain. You're just putting in work for no reason. So the thing that I got to go about telling you in this accord is that, one, we must be thankful. Be thankful for the many blessings that we have. And two, incorporate timing in your life. That you go about doing things in the proper accord. That you do not look for shortcuts in life. Because I'm going to tell you this. Everything in life goes full circle. And if you don't understand that everything in life go full circle, you will see people that you work with, they'll elevate faster than you will. But we must be mindful in looking at the approach that one is going about getting where they need to get to. See, they had they had some people at the last job I was at. And this one female, she had never do her job. But yet she was getting a promotion, she was getting this. And they even had a dude. He was deemed to be the best sailor. I'm an old Navy vet, so I like to go about sharing sea stories just to go about sprucing it up, just to drive that point home. So they gave this dude the best sailor, right? And this dude will be at all the functions, kissing all the ass, playing politics. But being the dude that I was, I'm not a political guy. I'm not going to laugh at your jokes. I'm not going to tell you you smart. I'm not going to try to butter you up because that's just not who I am. Any person that does not go about validating or go about accepting his or her ability, but have to do other things just to try to go about getting ahead, you're laying a trap for yourself. And in laying that trap for yourself, you're going to see why in a minute. There was the incident that took place. Now, the golden boy, I told him, well, since you the golden boy, go ahead and do it. But I knew that my man was going to fail, but I had to prove a point. And in proving that point, it came back to what I've always believed in. Do what you have to do by the merit of how you do it. Do not go about becoming dependent upon others just in order for you to go about succeeding. Because you will only go as far as they want you to go. But if you incorporate a belief and an ideology in learning what you have to do, paying attention to what's going on, then they can't control you or go about manipulating the situation in which you go about making it. So, going back to the situation, I get up to the station, and the dude that's in charge, he over everybody. He is like, what the hell is going on? I said, man, look, they just called me to come up here. Well, I need for you to go about taking care of this. So I said, okay, cool, no problem. So I'll go about putting everything in line and get everything operational. So I tell my man, well, you got everything going. I'm going to go back. He said, no, you're going to stay here with me. Get that dumbass out of here. So I tell my man, well, they don't want you on the scene. Just go ahead and go back, and I'm going to hold it down. So as the process is taking place, I know this dude, the dude that's overall in charge, he getting antsy with it. So every 15 minutes, he coming up to me, sweating me, talking about, hey, I need a status. I need this thing cleaned up. I said, my man, we don't do miracles. We do work. So if that's what you want, you in the wrong place. So he gonna look at me talking about, hey, I'm gonna give you a direct order to go ahead and open that up. I said, well, see, that's where you got me mixed up. I know you heard about me, but you're gonna have to see me in action today. Can't no man in this world make me go against myself. And that includes you. Not even my parents could go about doing that. So if that's something that you want to do, I would relinquish all authority off this scene over to you so that you can go about doing it. And then you can do whatever the hell you want. Because the reason I went about saying this is this. Everybody will talk this and that. But when it comes down to it, everybody have amnesia. And when you're dealing with a federal level that includes a fine and jail time, the shit gets real tricky. Because one thing I've always observed and seen in life is that everybody's going to cover their own ass. Nobody's going to go about doing the right thing when it comes time to saying that I told him to go about doing that. That's why it was done. He not going to go to jail for me. So why the hell should I allow myself to go to jail for anybody else? You see what I'm saying? So in doing that, we must have spent like another hour on a base, and for every minute this boat doesn't get launched, it's causing the military money. So the dude that's overall the whole base, he getting antsy and he starting to chew ass and stuff like that. But the reason I go about telling you that story in this regard is this. One must always come to comfort and know their abilities. Your abilities is knowing what you are capable of. What could you go about sustaining? What could you go about doing in any situation that you go about finding yourself in? It's not being dependent and being subservient to those who want to go about pulling you like a yo-yo. This channel, this is to go about incorporating a freedom, a mindset, an understanding of cultivating one true nature. And the reason I go about expressing this in such a manner is that when we come to go about grabbing hold of ourselves, that's a beauty within itself. Because the one who becomes dependent on others could only grow but so much. Because everything is put in place. If you are dependent upon somebody else and they're in a place of authority, do you really think they're going to let you get to where they're at so you can pass them down? They're only going to help you but so far. And that's why I try to go about incorporating a mindset in which you go about fighting for you. And in you fighting for you, can't nothing stop you but you. And that's the beauty within these things. So I'd like to say welcome to old Emancipated TV. This is a vlog in which we go about looking at ways to go about bettering ourselves, to go about improving, to go about questioning the logic in which we are going around doing things which we have been showed, but not really coming to the understanding. So if this is your first time to the live, I would like to say welcome. And if there's anything in which troubles you in the way how you go about perceiving life, coming to terms with the issues that goes about bothering you, let it be that you speak up on it, that you go about tackling it. There's nothing impossible in this world. The only thing that you have to do is stop being afraid. And when you stop being afraid, everything will take its place. Because let's just say, from the time you came to understand that what you do goes about bringing a betterment to you. And in that, if you go about cultivating, harnessing, grabbing on to a healthy mindset, I promise you, things is bound to get better for you. I make you that promise. Because it starts with the mindset. If we go about radiating positivity, positive things will in turn come back to us. If we go about incorporating consistency in getting better, gradually we will get better. The more you practice something, the more you work at something, enables you the opportunity to improve at whatever it is that you're doing. Just because you're not that great today does not mean that you don't have room to grow. And growth is a part of life. So you must incorporate a growth mindset. You must go about stimulating yourself in ways that will help you to see things from a better perspective. You must take life and see what you're working with. Stop complaining. Stop bickering. If it was this way, if it was that way. No, it's not this way, not that way. It is the way it is. And the only way to go about making movement is when you start doing something about it. That's the business. So if you go about incorporating that positivity, positivity will come. You can't plant a damn peach tree and expect to go about harvesting apples. No. You can't want good, yet you are thinking bad. No, it doesn't work that way. The ways of the world is that what we go about emitting, our consciousness, our level of love, the security. Like, I like to tell a lot of people this. And hopefully it helps you to understand where this is going. You see one that goes about practicing. Oh man, excuse me. You see one that goes about practicing a certain level of insecurity. Is filled with doubt. But because that person is filled with doubt, it leaves that person to wonder in everything they go about doing. They're never sure. They're never confident. So, in attaching themselves to that mentality, they go about garnering people in their lives who are not confident, because that's the energy that they are radiating. Like I always tell everybody, if you got some worthless ass friends, it's because there's certain worthlessness within you. If you have some friends who have no ambition, it's because you go about comforting insecurity in your life. If you have friends who get afraid of the notion in trying because you are holding on to insecurities in your life, that's why you could go about tolerating these people. Oil and vinegar will never mix. So don't tell yourself that these are my friends, but I'm not like my friends. Don't ever lie to yourself. Because too many of us, we have become lost in our way of thinking and going about comprehending life. And in failing to comprehend, we go about telling ourselves things in which does not go about benefiting us to help us improve. The best assessment I could go about telling each and everyone who goes about seeing this live on Emancipated TV is that go about looking at your friends. Look at all your friends that you have. Even look at some of your family members. Even look at your cousins, your brothers and sisters. The ones you go about hanging out the most with is because you and that person share some qualities. Now, if the qualities are worthless, then that's what you're practicing. Because the truth and the lie can never be friends. It's either we're telling ourselves the truth or we're continuously lying to ourselves. And too many of us have become comfortable in lying to ourselves. We no longer want to go about discovering and coming to know what the truth is all about. So now I ask you, do you know what the truth is about? Have you ever bothered to go about discovering the truth for yourself? Or you're just satisfied with what everybody else go about telling you? I'm going to say it again now. Do you know what the truth is? Or are you just accepting that everybody else wants good for you? Help me understand. Why do we do things in which we suffer negatively? Because of the way how we go about looking at life. So do I ask you, do I have the right to go about challenging you? Do I have the right to go about invoking that spirit within you for you to go about challenging yourself? One thing that we must come to understand and realize is that try and fail is a beautiful thing. But to have never tried at all, that's what the Christians call a sin. To have tried and fail, it's a beautiful thing. But to have never tried, you can never win. Win or lose, life is a game that you must play. Sitting on a bench is not going to get you that awareness that you go about needing in order for you to go about moving forward. Just know that the truth is all around you. Stop believing what everybody else is telling you. Life is on a self-discovery path in which each and every person must go about invoking and embarking on a journey in which they go about finding that truth. Now, I ask you, what's holding you back from you embarking on that journey to go about finding your truth? What excuse is so comfortable that you do not want to go about finding that truth? Because they say the truth shall set you free. So is it that we have come so comfortable living in bondage? Because you see, society casts judgment on those who are locked up in a penitentiary or jail. But we look with a snobbish attitude. But yet, we are not in chains. We do not live in bars. But I could bet you, a lot of us, we're not living free. We are not in a free state of mind. We are being led to believe about seeing things that really doesn't go about impacting us in order for us to go about living a free life. We have become enslaved in the way how we think, in the way how we go about approaching each other, in the way how we go about loving ourselves. And the trick of the matter is for us to go about taking off the shackles off of our minds and off of our bodies so that we may become free. We may enjoy the blessing that life incorporates on a daily basis. Colonialization is a plot and a ploy deployed against you and me in order for us to go about loving ourselves. It's a division tactic. It's meant to go about looking for love outside, but never for you to go about looking within. You see, the answer lies within. The spirit of life is within you. Like all living things, you carry that spirit. But we must want to be free. There's an old movie that came out, I think back in the 90s or the early 2000s. And the movie basically talked about the Matrix and freeing ourselves from the Matrix. Now it was a little action-packed, but the ideology behind the movie was getting those unplugged. And getting those unplugged is to go about having you see what's happening around us. The things that are taking place in which we are being manipulated and controlled. We are being spooled in a certain direction. Because if you take away the conscious mind of every human being, then the system operates and the system wins. There are things put in place which is to have us feeling lost. But we have to go about wanting that freedom for ourselves. We could all want it for each other, but it takes individual journey within oneself to go about seeing that love does not reside outside. Love resides within. But the trick of the matter is it's always wanting you to believe. It wants you to see that you must do certain things in order for you to go about incorporating that love that you are longing for. You have to get that dress. You have to get that new phone. You have to get this. So it makes us a consumer, and it goes about putting us in debt. But if we're in debt, how could we ever be free? Life is based on necessities, not wants. But the system incorporates an ideology which goes about promoting a certain level of submitting to your wants. Consumerism is a trap. Capitalism will go about having us feeling inept and becoming a slave as a consumer. Because once there's a void, nothing could go about filling it. And the more we go about leaving our self, leaving our true essence, the more we are becoming what the social construct wants us to become. Like I tell everybody, man, there's no place you could run. There's no amount of drugs you could do. There's no relationship that could go about fixing you. You have to want to do it for you. And that's the straight one thou wow, like these little kids will say. You have to want it in order for you to go about getting it. That's the only way you're going to go about finding love. Love don't live in the bottom of a bottle. Love don't live in putting on a damn ring. Love don't live on a meth pipe or on weed. Nah, that shit is all emptiness. And the last time I checked, 0 plus 0 will always equal 0. So anything that you're trying to go about substituting or implementing in order for you to go about finding that love, it's not going to add up. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. You could find the prettiest, most supportivest, most constructive, most endearing spouse or a partner. And if you're not meeting that person at their level or higher, that person will ultimately leave you because you will become a strain. If a person comes from a place of love and you are coming from a place of hatred, it won't work. So don't tell yourself because you got a good job, this person gonna be with me. Because if that person have ambition, that person have foresight and awareness, they could be at a self-realization point and talking to themselves and realizing that I need somebody to make me feel whole. And that's what a relationship is. A relationship is two bodies coming together to make one wholeness. And if you are coming from a place that's not whole, it becomes a strain. And in becoming a strain, ultimately it has to fall apart. And that's why I go about incorporating and telling all young people, try to go about establishing a stable foundation in which you go about looking at life and governing, that helps you to stay true to who you are. Because anything unstable, it's bound to fall apart. And even with the best of intentions, we can't cheat, because all things come due. And then when all things come due, it's just going to leave a strain. And that's all we become in life, is we become a strain to that person. We become a burden to that other person. And then when that other person wants nothing to go about doing with us, because we're not at a healthy place, we can't understand. We can't come to comprehend what is so wrong, why that other person doesn't want to be with us. So the message at hand is that we all need to get our shit together in order to go about giving a relationship what it needs. And in giving a relationship what it needs, there's certain things that one must hold true to themselves. And that's why I said we have to become free. We must take the shackles off of our mind, because too many of us, too many of us are living in a land of perception. We don't even know what it takes, but we quick to look at everybody else and not knowing their situation and want to go about replicating the things that we see. You see. So make it so, man, that you look at it and you go about finding ways in which to see the things that are hindering you and holding you back, so that you may go about finding that freedom. You may not be at a place where you would like to be, but in order for you to go about leaving that behind, you must go about making that choice. And in making that choice, then you will see. That's my blessing. One.